Looks good for what they're cutting
Will
out.
now be recorded.
No, after
I was trying to dial in the whole
6
way.
months or so, a year of traveling, whether there's
nobody
some
here,
problem
so-
underneath, you know, but they're putting a nice thick layer.
Oh, I just talked to him.
They're not laying yet, they're getting oiling today.
Here's Scott.
Alright, we're on whenever you're ready.
All right, let's begin with the flag salute.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we welcome everybody to the July 14th Special Marion County Commission meeting, basically dealing with budget issues. The Marion County Fair Board is scheduled for 9. They're not here yet. 9:15 we'll go into Scott Lloyd. So we've got a few minutes.
So do you want to,
Start, Scott.
yeah, I don't think you would necessarily have to wait. If they come, then you
Okay.
can.
See if Scott's ready.
Yeah, he should be right back.
Does he have to?
Yeah, he's got to get rolling.
Treasurer of Osage County resigned. They gotta do
It's Fair Board doesn't
Yeah.
need money.
a account of money this afternoon.
Fair board manager was supposed to be here.
Fair's next week too, right? Hey, Ashley.
I don't know, Brian's the chair, so that's who I talked to.
I'll just give you a quick report down there. They just started right there at Highway 50. They're just into the first, going up the hill and then around the curve. They're working right on the curve right now down there, so.
Good.
They got it blocked clear back to 140th.
But it's all gonna be completed today, right?
That's what the
That's
email
what
said.
Really?
Done by 7 o'clock tonight.
Wow.
They're gonna put in a big day and
Yeah.
all one day.
Wow.
They had a lot of equipment out there last night.
They was sitting waiting on, I think, dump trucks right now because they cut like probably 4 holes out, got into the curve down there in the bottom. And then they're in the middle sitting there, and guys are sitting there like this. So you sort of, you know, where's the trucks? They're hauling the stuff off, and so.
I just put Brian on speaker.
Sure.
All right.
Anybody your microphone?
Brian.
So who is this?
Brian Clinton.
Okay.
Fair board chair.
Okay, Brian, welcome Marion County Commission meeting.
How's it going? Okay.
All right. Commissioner Becker, do you want to add some questions or ask for a presentation from the Fair Board?
In the past, you know, we've budgeted a certain amount,
Just under 17.
16.7, and we've had the other departments present along with some of the other outside interests that we've budgeted in the past. We just wanted to know where the fair's at. Maybe you guys are so solvent you don't need anything this year. I don't know.
That'd be nice, but, so what Jonah was saying is we need to ask for the money, or what are you guys looking for?
I think more than anything, just to justify what the money's going for.
Well, what we're using for is like light repairs, electrical repairs, windows and doors. We're still getting some windows broke once in a while. And like 400 a month is going to be paid for the fair manager's position on the fair board. For all the work she does, that actually driving around. She's actually, this year has donated $4,000 back to the fair by different purposes. That's kind of the vast overlay of what we're using
So is there a certain amount that you're asking for?
I mean, if we could keep it the same, cause that kinda does help get some of the early stuff done for the fair, to keep the fair going.
Okay.
Our sponsorships, we're getting some of our sponsorships back, but we're still having to use a little bit of that money to help out with the fair each year, so we're still, I think every year putting the fair on, we're losing maybe $1,000 to $2,000, like out of our checking. So we're trying to get the sponsorship back up, and that just takes time.
Any other questions?
And Jonah was saying something about maybe in the future, we could come to a commission about maybe putting some insulated doors on a couple of the buildings that don't have insulated garage doors. But like with the AC that's going on in the 4-H building, they got 4 units working right now on temporary thermostats. We had one wedding reception in there, and heard good deals about renting the building out. We got one coming up in September, so word of mouth's getting out there.
So you've set rates for public use on that then?
We're trying to do a trial right now. Like for a weekend, we set it at 600. We don't know if that's enough yet because we haven't seen our first electric bill to know where we're at. But
Depending on the season.
coming up in September, they kind of laughed at us and told us 600 was too cheap.
Well, you can always tell them they can pay more if they'd like.
Yeah.
That's one way to get sponsorship up.
Yeah.
The venues are $5,000-$10,000.
Yeah.
People down toward Wichita.
But we're looking at maybe like a wedding is possibly bumping it up to 1,500 just because you got people with alcohol. I know weddings probably aren't as wild as they used to be, like when Gary Christensen got married. That was
Oh, yeah. We could not mention any names.
Yeah.
That would be good.
yeah. But
Not that this is a budget issue, but does who provides the liability?
we're making them provide their insurance, and that's what our insurance told us to do, is to make them provide the insurance for the wedding.
So they're having an umbrella coverage for your building, basically.
Yeah,
So they have to provide you proof before they,
yeah.
okay, good idea.
It's all a way to keep our insurance down,
Right.
which I think it went down just a little bit this year, but the way I understood it, it basically covers liability on the fair board members, and if something were to happen, and that's, right now, it's around $7,000. I know like Tri-County looked into insurance, like changing, and they got a quote for $13,000-$14,000, and it's like, maybe we don't want to look to change insurance.
And
So that's part of what you guys give us helps cover too, is the insurance on that.
Brian, this is Randy Dalkey. We're down at the cemetery at Peabody, on the cemetery board, and we're having some insurance problems and things down there. They're raising our rates, and also for workman's comp is going up for, Peabody Bank was our holder, but now I think they've got out of it, and they're passing us off to other people, and our rates are going up tremendously too, so.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? All right, well, thanks for calling in, Brian. We appreciate the information.
Yeah, thank you,
All
Brian.
right.
All right.
Yep.
All right, bye.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Thanks for getting him on speaker. That worked.
Yeah.
I think it got the questions answered.
We need to handle business, so I just, this is one way to do it, let's do
Yeah, I
it.
mean, it's not budget, but,
Yeah.
you know, this insurance thing, do we have any exposure?
We do, those are our buildings.
That's what I mean.
So for them covering the
So
insurance
do
for
we need
us,
to be, do we need to be talking to our insurer and saying, okay, this is what this building is now, and there'll be alcohol?
It might be a question for Tina.
Yeah, I think we
Our
better
insurance.
check on
Okay.
it.
We'll follow up.
To let our carrier know, had air conditioning added, it's gonna be used more.
And speaking of Tina, she shows up.
she was here earlier.
So you need a motion.
Yes.
I make the motion that we budget $16,700 for the Marion County Fair Board.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Crowfoot, a second from Commissioner Garing. Any other discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. Motion carried 5-0. The question is to check with the insurer, are the fair buildings covered from the county liability? And they are.
We paid the insurance on them.
Well, my question was,
Well,
since,
they're covered from them, we're covered for us.
since we've renovated that building, now they're having wedding receptions, there'll be alcohol there and that sort of thing. I didn't know if that was a question that we needed to address with our insurer.
All right, we'll follow up with that.
Sometimes on those insurance like that, even though you have coverage, I think you're doing the right thing here, is if you have a specific event that has like alcohol or something like that, you have to absolutely, I think, let them know that.
Well, the building, we're changing usage on it a
Yeah.
little bit, we're upgrading.
Yeah.
It's gonna be used.
So, I assume they're getting whatever permits they need through the city of Hillsborough to be able to do that. And I think that the county, if we are owning, insuring the building, should require a liability, release a liability waiver, like a liability waiver for them to hold those kind of events there. So.
Let's just take the worst scenario. Said don't mention the dates or parties, but party gets wild, crazy, knocks over a candle. We go up, and what's the original start is, there was a drunk there, and knocked the candle over, and the building goes up, but we can't stand, we're not covering it.
Yeah.
We're not letting our insurance carrier know that. Man,
And I think the waiver's probably appropriate too, even though it's just another step, but.
How about we set this for an agenda item?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need
Another
to-
we need
meeting.
to, you know,
And
we
because
need
we,
to
I
nail
think
that
there's a
down.
lot of questions involved, and we'll follow up.
I kinda questioned that when I heard they'd already had one.
Okay.
Because the lake hall would fall under the same umbrella.
But that, at least that's a little more direct. I mean, it's directly through the county, or this one, they're kind of going through a fair
Steps.
board, even though the
Steps.
building's owned by the county.
Yeah.
So let's do that under a separate agenda item at another meeting and explore that in depth. But today, let's focus on budget. And the man of the hour is here with good news for us, right?
Yeah, except for a couple things.
Just a couple. As long as it's just a couple.
Well, it came together pretty good. So let's start on page 1, and I'm just gonna go through each page, and you can hear what I did. Because what I did, Tina and I talked yesterday, and I didn't know if I could get this far, but I finished at 1:40 this morning, so we got her done. And what this is literally, I mean, Tina's gotta do her, you know, where she goes through and looks at the middle column and, you know, adjusts things and sales tax and, just up front, the, transfer station, that one's tight. We talked about that, but we'll look at it, and I adjusted numbers to get to 0, but, that's gonna be a tight one. And, I took you'll see this, I wrote the last year levy by all the funds, And what that really is here on page 1, for example, I'm off by .001 from last year, so hopefully that's forgiving them. But you're okay with that for now. But anyway, so what this column is, P, is where I went in, I talked to you last time, and where with the assessed value increase, we had originally put the same mill levy on every fund, okay? So I took those that had extra cash, it looked like, and took the dollars back to the same. So I mean, it's like 7,000 here, 5,000, you know, I mean, it's not big dollars. So, and then you have these right here. The 121 is kind of a catch-all there on column P for the general fund. Ambulance I had, and you can look at it, that's another one that's tight based on the way that the, you know, you're trying to expand it and all that. So, I mean, I got, we'll just have to look at it. And then aging, what happened there, the reason you can go look at it, that was the one where we decided to take the insurance we'd always been budgeting for and cutting it back to, I think it was budgeted 4 and back to 2. So I took the excess out of the levy because she had cash there to do that. And then if something does come up and you have to do the other 2, then for that year you would just make it as a line item appropriation out of the general fund if she ran out of money. But that's probably not going to happen. Employee benefit, no, election. I increased it to what Tina had put on. You know, it's quite a bit more, and you can look at it. You can back up. I mean, you can see what you think there. The next one, employee benefit. That one across the ones I'm doing is like everywhere. I mean, the Pratt I was at yesterday, there's 16% increase, it looks like. Wow. And that's a big number on $6 million, well, let's see, no, on 2.3 million. They're about like your two something on their health insurance. And then the other one, Road and Bridge, it's the same. I don't know if that's true. Yeah, okay, I left the increase in the assessed value in that one, I believe is what happened there. So the rest of them I just adjusted back, that's why there's zeros in the others, okay? So if you, I'm just gonna flip through here. Some of these I put all the budget in here because I wanted you to have the whole budget, even though some of these pages won't matter until we get further down. Page 4, I haven't adjusted the transfers yet, so we'll wait until we get everything done, because like in the general fund, that's the one I don't know what to do with. Sales tax, you know, where we take it to road and then we transfer part of it over to capital improvement. That'll be something that we'll have to look at. Page 5, I know it, but there's no debt, other debt, is that right? I mean, general obligation bonds, revenue bond, anything else that I need to be knowing? I just, one last
Just
time
the
asking.
bonds?
Yeah, this is bonds on page 5, 6 is the lease purchases.
I'll just look at the,
Yeah.
I'll look at that.
I checked
But the
off.
bonds are correct.
Yeah, I checked off all the lease purchases over here on page 6, but they're only in 22, so I didn't know if there were any 23 or 24s that you were looking at. Page 7, I adjusted the sales tax, what you'd asked me to do, 900,000 in the first circle and 950. So that picked up some cash there, you know, because I think we were pretty conservative. I don't remember what it was, 800 maybe, or 750. The interest on idle funds down below there, that one really helped you in the general fund. The second set of circles down there, I adjusted to what, because we already had, like right now, I think we were at 265 in the middle of the year on interest. And then we backed off. You didn't want to go quite that strong in 24, but everything I'm seeing, I mean, it's an election year coming up, so you don't know. But everything I'm seeing with Fed and all that, it's going to go up some more. So you're probably gonna, I mean, you may pick up another mil almost there if the rates stay where they're supposed to be. But it's probably better to be conservative.
Well, part of it is we're using some of those.
And you're using some of the funds up, that's right, yeah, absolutely. Page 8, I left the 25,000 in the middle column because you were doing, I think, some work out there on the building on the highway, is that right? I think that's what it was for.
Yeah.
25,000, and then I left the 500,000 in the 24 column. With all those adjustments to income in that, the cash at the end of 24 is 957, and that's lower But that's the way it usually works out, because you never end up spending your budget. But if you look where you're at, it's the second number from the bottom, in the first column and the second column. The cash at the end of 22 is 3,144,000. The cash at the end of 23 is 2,959,000, and the 957 is the cash there. Now, this one, this is where it's a little bit. This is where I need Tina's help. So turn to page 10. I think I've got everything else in there. I didn't circle it, but right above my big circle there, I put economic development as contractual. That's what you said. Just leave one line in there for $20,000. You see that number right above?
Mhm.
Okay. Then the sales tax, I didn't go in and adjust all these, but you can see if we start adding to this big circle here, that 959 cash at the end of 24 over on the other page will, you know, start going down some, because 1 mil, yours is 170, you got all these numbers are coming. 173, 778. So the bottom number is pretty close. I didn't adjust 24 yet, but the bottom number is pretty close to 2 mils. The one in the middle, though, 7 mils, are not quite there, I don't think. I just left it as, you know, we can look at the numbers and see what you want to do. And that's something that, it doesn't have to be settled right now. It's just something I want to bring you where, let me look here, 175, just, whoops, times 7 equals, yeah, so, 7 times 175 is 1.2 million. So that's a ways off. So.
Yeah, and last year you changed that 7 mils.
Uh-huh.
You didn't levy the 7 mils because you used some of it for to fund the bond.
Yeah. So that's it.
So if you want to fund a full 7 mils like you had in the past, you'd have to raise the budget.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
So that's the hole there. I'm not sure how to, I'll try to fill the others, but that one's a little bit bigger. Anyway, I'm just bringing to your attention, and Tina's right. I mean, we'll look at the rest of these, but to get that funded, you'd probably have to increase the mill levy, because we've got interest in there now, and we've got sales tax adjusted. So that one I don't know. Let's go through the rest of the budget.
Okay, so from your perspective, that 9 whatever carryover is that worrisome?
No, it usually, I mean, all the budgets I work on, that 24 column, that number, because what you're doing is, you know, you're showing fully funded every department, every line item. The only line item I didn't fully.
It just seems like a drastic drop.
Yeah.
Over the last couple of years. And, you know, that number itself's not even 1 month's expenses.
Yeah.
I didn't do this here because that's what Tina does, but at Pratt yesterday, or the night before, I went through, they had a year-to-date where their expenditures were and where their cash was. So when I went through the funds and talked to them on Thursday, so a lot of them are like 50.2, so that's good. You know, expenditures were 50.2% in the 23 column at 6 months. So, and that's what Tina kind of does that when she does that one last look at it. And this doesn't even include, I don't think, doesn't include any COLA or raises.
If you use the sheets that we did, it was a 1-step raise in July.
Okay.
Last year's budget, we had in the cash forward column 1.4 million.
Yeah.
So we don't ever have a ton there, but it's still less.
And I'm telling you, I mean, when Tina goes through and looks at this thing, she knows exactly what I don't know exactly what's in each line. I mean, I just don't. I'm doing the best I can with the knowledge that, you know, the reports I have, but Tina does a good job of that.
She knows the story behind it.
Huh?
She knows the story behind it.
That's right, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, let's just keep going here and then we can talk about it. So if you go to page 11, there was that, where I got the new radios there was a note on my thing, and
Yeah, that's wrong.
there's something wrong there, because I think that's part of the big, Tom, I
It
mean,
is.
it's the same number.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what happened there, so anyway. So that's a slight adjustment. I think that was it. On that, I wanted to make sure that was right. Okay. The next page, 12, I talked to you about, I looked at the interest payment on the bonds, and what happens is, the reason you have to have cash, I think I explained this last time, but the reason you have to have cash carryover is to make that first interest payment, potentially because the distributions don't come out, soon enough, so you have to have cash carryover. But it was setting at about 80-some thousand, which was, you can change if you don't like this, but I just adjusted it by the 19,184. You see it there in my notes. And so the levy then is the same as last year's levy. But if you don't feel comfortable with that, you can, I look at it as, I think it's gonna, it's gonna cover it, because you'll get your distributions, and you get motor vehicle, and motor vehicle's a big number. You can see up there at the top, you get about 40, less than neighborhood revitalization, you get 44,289 just in. And they're in the top 24. If you go down there, you get 44,000 just from motor vehicle. So that helped. You can pipe in here if you see something you think my eyes might have been crossed when I was doing some of this. Okay.
You mentioned something.
Yeah.
That I think the board still needs to keep in their head, so I believe it's up there on their blackboard, neighborhood revitalization.
Yeah.
I mean, times are getting tougher, and we've been pretty generous with giving the money back. Matter of fact, I heard this last week on the 4th of July, I've got a granddaughter that has a house, and she's on her 5th year now, so she's crying a little bit that it's going to go away, because I think her payment might have been like $900 just for one house that we're paying back on. Whether that was for the 5th year.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Like you said, we've had it up there, we need to have that discussion.
yeah, and it's just one of them things that, I'd like to use it myself, but if it comes to time, I think that's.
Remind me again, yours, is it county-wide, or is it still certain areas of the county?
Countywide.
Yeah, county-wide, yeah, that's
There
what
were
we're
some
at.
that
5 year.
Yeah.
Hillsborough rebutted from, didn't go into it. So,
Because Pratt, theirs countywide, and theirs was almost 300,000 that they're paid back.
We've
Yours
been
is
there.
120, yeah, you've been there before.
we've been there, it's down, so.
Okay, page 13 is the road and bridge. I didn't have any changes. I made notes on it, like the FEMA reimbursement, the project reimbursement in Kansas, but those are like the first column actual. I didn't put anything in those 23 or 24 on 13. I had notes there that if it happened, that it'd be a reimbursement. I don't think there was anything, but I guess look at that and see. Page 14, the road and bridge, I think we had them in at 250 last year, so we made it to 5. You told me to adjust it up to 5 on that first circle up there in column 24. And then the cash carryover is the 1,000,001. So it's, again, it's not what the end of the second number from the bottom of each column there. One's 2.8, one's 2.5, 1.1. So you can. I think that's probably. I didn't look at last year's to see what it was. 15. This is what makes up the road and bridge, and so I was looking at the numbers down through there. If you look at each of the kind of the subtotals there, they're all a little bit more. So as I've been doing this, I've been thinking about. It's kind of a scary number to look at, but if you look at the total expenditure of the county and back out payroll, and take it times 10% for inflation, that's a scary number. I mean, I started doing it on all little cities too. I just started doing that so they would have an idea of Okay, if you, if you have 1 mil, and in like, in a small city, it's maybe 5,000, and yours it's 170 something, but you can go back here, if you looked at, just to get an idea as we go through here, if you look on page 31, and you back out the transfers in 22, you get a number, over in the left, very left-hand column there at the bottom where it's double underlined, you get total before transfers was 22,811,000. You back out 1,823,000, and that could change based on, I mean, not for this year, but it could change depending on what you want to transfer in 23 and 24. And the biggest transfers are those sales tax, you know, those numbers. But you're down to 20 million, and if you take 10%, well, you take, I don't know what your total payroll here is too, probably around 5 or 6 million.
Yeah, I'd have to look.
Yeah, but
Pratt,
Pratt,
track it every month,
yeah,
but
you
I don't ever look at it.
You and Pratt are about the same in some ways. They're a little bit more in their assessed value. But if you backed out, in a typical county, the expenditures are somewhere around 55% for personnel. Okay, so if you back that out, and let's just say it come to 11 million, whatever that number is, 10 million, then you take that times 10%, there's $1 million for inflation on things that are purchased. Tangibles, yeah, and that's, I mean, that's really rough. I've been starting to.
It's realistic.
Yeah, I'm starting to look at that, because if you, not that you wanna add taxes, but you've gotta figure out how we're gonna fund this, if we're gonna keep the same level with where the inflation is going.
One thing, sorry, election, we just got notification that they're gonna require some new, different kind of security measures on our equipment, and so that's gonna be a cost because of the way we're situated, so just letting you know.
We're laughing at it. I mean, can I say, I guess I can say, I think it's all. Lori.
Unfunded mandate.
Well, what happened, Lori, she's only a 2-person office in Pratt. And so the way the election, and Tina could correct me if I'm wrong here, but we got talking about this yesterday, how do you do this? So the equipment, the way the mandate's coming down, the equipment cannot be with 1 person.
Right.
Okay, so if you have 2, huh?
Keep going this way.
So if you go to the
I wanna check
bathroom,
something. I'll be right
if you
back.
go to the bathroom, and you only have 2 people in your county clerk's office,
You're in violation.
I mean, we were talking about that, what do you do?
What do you do?
You know, I mean, there's.
They don't think about small, you know.
Yeah, and I don't know, the one that set up the revenue neutral rate, that lady, I can't remember her name, the lady, the representative, she's now on the election committee.
No.
So that's why I mean, I understand that we need to protect that, I mean, integrity is important.
Yes.
But realistically, common sense, how is that gonna happen? Lori's got 2 people, if that person's sick, you know, I mean, it just doesn't even.
Well, it's like separation of duties in a small
Elections
shop.
postponed
You've only got
because
2
of
people.
sickness.
How do you separate out all the handling of the cash
Absolutely.
deposits?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a common.
I'm amazed by your comment. Last night I was trying to explain it to my cemetery board,
Yeah.
revenue neutral rate,
Yeah.
and where we're at and stuff with it.
Yeah.
Okay, our total tax is 63,000.
Yeah.
Income,
Mhm.
and we figured out labor last night, it was 33,000. So just labor alone, and that wasn't all the taxes that goes with the unemployment tax and all that.
Yeah.
It was a
Employee
little bit
benefits
higher,
adds on a
but
little
it's about
bit.
55%, somewhere right where
Yeah.
you just said.
So cities and counties are 55, I mean, I'm just real big
No,
picture here,
yeah.
but they're about.
5,623,000 last
Oh,
year.
you're real close to Pratt, that's almost exactly what Pratt's was. Anyway, so cities and counties are about 55%, school districts are closer to 75%. And the reason being, if you think about it, all they have is buildings and people.
Yeah.
You know, and equipment, they have.
Labor intensive.
Yeah, it's very labor intensive,
Yes.
so when you look at their budget, 75% of that is per people.
Sure.
And you can see that in the county, you got other things you gotta do here. So
Asphalt.
But that's just, when you start looking at budgets, that's just you can just very quickly, 22 million, 55% is roughly labor, and the other is things that, yeah, anyway, okay.
Right.
Let's see, what else
It was on 15.
Yeah, it's 14 and 15, I'm just looking to see if there's anything else I need to tell you. I think those, I mean, Tina can look at that. The middle column, like, you know, you all know this because you've done this for several times, but looking at the middle column, and if there's a project, especially in road and bridge, if there's a project that may not get done in '23, then we just move it over to '24, so we have budget authority in both years, you know, to get the project done. And I haven't done that, you know, I haven't done that to that level. Next page, 16.
I like that.
You like the cop? You like the cop?
Got it positive. That's like the best thing I've seen all day.
Well, you better look at my numbers to get it positive. Anyway, I think I got, this sheet from the last meeting was so marked up with director vehicle replacement, ambulance replacement. One was an ARPA, I think you're buying one ambulance with ARPA.
Correct.
There's an ambulance building that we kind of are putting there. So those, I mean, those are numbers you kind of need to help me with there. I think I got them the way I'd written them down. And then I looked at, if you go up to, and I didn't circle it, but the service fees, so it'd be about the middle of the receipts up there, 550, 147, you go across. I don't really feel totally comfortable with that because I am estimating 629 and 24, 629,000, and I hardly ever do more than what the current year is because of the conservative approach on receipts. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So to get it positive, I left that number like it, and then we adjusted some numbers down here. But this one needs some work. So whether that means if that's the budget, because I mean you look at salaries, that's where a big number is. That's 213,000, and I don't know if that's what you're going to end up doing or not. But that in that first line of expenditures, it went from 953 to 1.4. So that all kind of depends on whether everything gets implemented. You know, all your people get there. I mean that's. So.
Just stay fully staffed.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, this is with expansion to
Right,
add
yeah.
supervisors.
Supervisors,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Anyway, I don't have anything else to say. That's just one. I know that one and the transfer station and then the general fund with the sales tax, you know, how we allocate that. That's kind of the three biggers. Down at the bottom is appraiser's cost. I did not adjust this, but there was some people that was down, if you remember, we were talking. So the cash, after I put the budget in there, is 171,679. You see that circle? That seems like a lot of cash in the appraiser's fund, okay? It's one of those funds, I've told you this before, you know, but if you can just, even less than 3 months, you know, we were talking about 3 months, let's see, 351, that'd be, give me just a minute here, I didn't do this last night, so let's see, 351. So they spend about 30,000 a month. So 3 months, I mean, if you did the math, 3 months, it would be right at 90,000, and we're sitting at the end of 22, we're sitting at 273. So we got some cash here that we could reduce. But the thing you have to remember when now this is not, you're not gonna get penalized by the state, but when you reduce the 338 by, let's just say you pick a number and it's 150,000, then the motor vehicle will also be reduced because the levy drives the motor vehicle. So next year, the motor vehicle, instead of being 20-some thousand, might be, you know, so there's a kind of double whammy there when you, but to me, that there's a lot of cash in there, and I don't know, maybe you're gonna have, you bring people back on and you're back to fully staffed, I don't know, I'm not sure what.
They are, yeah.
They are fully staffed now.
Okay, so these are just what this is just savings probably over the couple years that you were short.
That's right.
Yeah.
Previous years they
Yeah,
were.
so that's one. By doing it today, what I was thinking, I gotta be in Osage Monday morning for their budget discussion, but if you can look at this over the weekend, you know, just think about it, see what you wanna do. But that's one of those where I think we can pick up, not quite a mill, but we could get probably close to a mill that we can put in the general fund, okay? Okay.
And then in the salaries under the ambulance, does that include the supervisory?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not budget, but I've had several of their ambulance employees come to me and say, we do not need three supervisors. Absolutely do not.
Well, you gotta look at what we're doing to the director, we're running him pretty ragged.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm
So,
not saying
I mean,
that.
yeah,
I'm not
so-
saying you don't need a supervisor.
I would be concerned on
I-
which employees are talking.
Yeah, I get the same thing. I got apprentices that think they could do what a journeyman can, and they don't need the journeyman, but then when things get real tight, they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so easy from the bottom to say that you don't need something.
You got
on the
that
top.
figured out? You got that figured out?
No, but
Just the comments I'm hearing, just the comments I'm hearing.
I'm just,
when they finally test up, they change their tune.
That's right,
They-
absolutely.
They finally put them feet in the shoes, and then they realize what it is.
That's right.
But they don't understand it until they're in it.
Yeah, it's kinda like in the CPA firm, until they get their own clients, they, you know, they just don't realize that when they get their own clients, they start dealing with some of that
it's a
stuff.
whole different world.
Oh, that's a whole different world. Okay, let's see, one mil, they're rough, I'm just saying roughly, okay, so we go to the next page, 17. Aging, this is the one I did adjust, because of the insurance there where I put the bracket. It went on down to the vehicle, I don't know if I meant to do the vehicle, but we moved it over to 20, I think. We were pretty good on vehicles there, weren't we? What, I don't think it was like we had.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're about half of what the 38 is that we have shown over there. So I reduced that one, so that, there you picked up about 40,000, or whatever that number was on the front, I don't know, 37,000, yeah, 37,000. Election, this is the one that I just adjusted to whatever the levy was last time we talked. So the 192,280 in the bottom one down, the very right-hand column, that's the levy. Last year it was 120. And that gives you 241,000 of total expenditures. And where I put it, or based on my notes on was 65 there. If you look at capital outlay, I put it 65. I think it was, you said add the difference there. So, but if you want to, you know.
I'll look at the
Yeah.
middle column too.
Yeah. But anyway,
I
that.
think we'll gain a little bit there. You
Yeah.
guys can probably get a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Page 18, employee benefits. I couldn't find anything to adjust the medical insurance, so it was the same as 23. So I'm not sure, we can look at that number and see what that number is. There is some cash carryover there based on the numbers we got, 633,000, which is good in the employee benefits fund. I mean, sometimes employee benefit fund runs really tight, or really lean. Health, I'm not worried about it. They've got quite a bit of cash. I took it back to the same levy as last year. That way they didn't lose any money, but they still have cash. But you also told me, I had a note there about at any point, the hospital could say
To buy.
buy, and so you might have to use some of that cash to do some things. So. Okay, next page, 19. This is another one that usually runs pretty lean. I'm not sure why there's some extra cash that are built up in there, but
We've had a low number of employees there too.
is that what's happened? Okay, so that's some savings over the last,
Yeah, the director's trying to
Been short
run the whole thing.
yeah, okay.
Been short one the whole time.
I think so.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I just made a note there. You may not want to do anything, but that's just something. The park, I took it back to the levy of last year, and the cash you'll see is 20,000. And why that is I thought it looked like, is we left the capital outlay at 20, and we put the 350s in the 24 column there. If you look down the 24, so there's 150. And this one's been carrying on for long, and we talked last time, it's been carrying on for a long time. So you've got, I mean, if you want to do something out there, you look at the bold number right under the circle, you got 487,000 of budget authority, okay? That's with all cash spent. You only spent 311 in 22, so that difference is basically those capital projects that you're looking at.
1,000, yeah.
I was spending a bunch on electrical.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. The next page, there's two more levy funds. Solid waste. This one, the cash, I didn't circle it, but the cash is pretty good in this one. If you, it's on the right-hand column in 24, and it's 89,568. I left the mill levy, or the dollar is the same as last year. So there's a, I don't know, were you short with people there too? Is that the?
Are they?
Maybe they just, I don't know why there's a little bit extra cash sitting there.
Well, yeah.
Well,
We
they were
bumped the
short,
levy
yeah.
a few years ago because it was tight.
It was tight, yeah.
And the only thing paid out there is just a part of an employee, and then also the landfill sampling, and then the solid waste, the HHW disposal fees.
That's where it's
Yeah.
part-time between two people
Yeah.
taking care of it.
So that might not be one we mess with this year, but that might be one that next year, if the cash is still there, you might be able to adjust it a little bit. I don't know. Special bridge, I left the mill levy the same as last year. It's pretty cut and dry, and they have plenty. I mean, if you have a bridge come up, you've got 493,000 in budget authority in the 24 column, the bold number, and you spent 254, but with the bridge or any of that stuff, it doesn't take long for the money to be gone.
That
I mean, it's boom. It's
that
gone.
would cover one. Yeah, if we had to do it on our own.
Okay, starting on 21, there's not a lot, these are just, I went through and just made sure we had zero balance, see what they were. I didn't really see anything on 21, 22. 23 is where, at the bottom, I went through and checked the lease purchase agreements. And I didn't, that's where, if you see anything in 23 or 24, I did not see it, so I don't have them in there, but we have in the line item, equipment purchase, you spent 303 in cash in 22, it's 305 in the middle column, and it's 367. And that's all based on that $350,000 transfer that we make from Road and Bridge. This is one year, very humbling. What was that in the middle column? I missed.
Yeah, the balloon payment.
I had the balloon payment, and I didn't catch the
It
balloon.
was only
payment.
125,000.
I thought 250.
It was pretty big.
Yeah, it was a big number. I go, no. Oh. Okay, anyway.
Okay. You can let go of that.
I'm trying.
Yeah,
I'm
a couple
trying.
years ago.
It's about 5 years ago, and I'm still.
But did you notice who remembered that? I mean, I was here then too, but she remembered it.
Yeah, she remembered.
Yeah.
That's good, I'm glad you remembered it. Okay, 24, capital improvement, these would be the ones that we need to adjust, depending on the sales tax, what numbers you want to transfer out of general. I have the bond proceeds, and I think the middle column, but you might look at that, you'd said was 4 million or something like that was gonna be spent in 23. And then the rest is the leftover there. Okay, 25. Oh, here's something, this is kind of cool, risk management. I'll just tell you this, and this is something I think we've been doing it here for a while, but at Jackson County, I think I told you this, they had $1 million in their capital outlay or capital improvement fund for health insurance increases in their capital improvement. I go, well, you got $1 million? Well, the clerk, the 40-year clerk had different places where she put money just in case we got in trouble, okay? Well, I said, well, what if we take part of that, and this got me thinking about other things, and I noticed you had K-Camp risk there, but one thing you might think about, and I never really thought about this before, in the risk management fund, there's a lot of risks that's set out there right now, okay? So if you look, you just said it about insurance, okay, on regular, like property insurance, liability. So maybe we should start building some of that so the public could say, this is transparent, this is what, it's a transfer, but I went through it with Jackson, I said, health insurance, take that 1 million, maybe you don't need 1 million, but maybe it's 500,000, and we put it, instead of capital improvement, we put it in risk management, and that is for health insurance in case something goes wrong, or the rate goes. And then property insurance, they were talking about some other things that were risk for liability. We were just brainstorming, but I'd never really thought about to that level of looking at all because that's what an auditor does in an audit. They look at the entire environment you got and in today's world and say, where are the risks at? And you take that risk in the audit, and then That's what you're really doing here. You're auditing the risk that you as county commissioners have and say, this is maybe some numbers that we could put back. And what's nice about this fund is if you put it there and the general fund needs it back, you just transfer it back. It's a very flexible fund. So it's just something to think about. Transfer station.
Oh, I see you put an LA.
What? Oh, I had a note. That's the Latcher, or whatever it's called, they're 50,000. I had a note, now if that's not right, you can just mark it up.
I don't think the board really decided that. I think it was talked about maybe putting that second amount of the LADCF funds into risk management, but I don't know that you have made any motions or agreed to do it. So he's got it in there.
In the 24 column, the second number down on the top fund, 50,000. And that's that, you got two 50,000s. And I had a note, so I put it in there.
Well, we got one, but the other's still coming.
That's right, yeah.
Right.
The one we
This
put
would
in
be
the
the
gen-
one coming.
Yeah.
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 The one we got, we put in the general operations.
Right. So I had a note there, so you guys can decide.
I mean, I think it's a good place for it to
Yes.
go, but I just want you to be aware that he has it in the budget here, but you haven't approved
Would
it
we,
that way.
we wouldn't approve it till we actually receive it, would we?
Yeah, and this one here, I mean, you got it in there, this is you're just kind of planning. It's not
Right,
like, it's not like
gotcha.
it's tied to.
It's not locked.
Yeah, it's not locked down.
Very good.
Yeah.
So just letting you know.
Okay, thank you.
The transfer station, I just went through every line here, and there wasn't a lot of wiggle room there. And I can't remember why, up here at the top, let's start with assessment fees. 644 was actual, in the second line down from the top. 652 is what we had last year, and then I don't know why it went back to 644, but I didn't
And
change.
the board raised the assessment fees,
Yeah,
25%.
this year.
Okay.
So,
So-
it'll go more than that. That'd be a bigger number.
This
though.
doesn't reflect the increase.
No, and
so we can adjust.
I had notes like, and it was so confusing, I had notes like, construction was gonna go up, because it hadn't been up, ever increased or something, and I mean, so I left it like it is.
But we actually took action on it. so
Okay, okay.
There is an increase in prices.
And another note I had, if you look at each one of these expenditure lines, I mean, salaries are, there's a little bit there maybe, contractual is right at it. The middle column here might be too much adjusted, you may have to adjust, I don't know, but like commodities is 78 in the 22 column. Middle column's 55, that was last year's budget, I guess, capital outlay. And then I had a note that payment, the lease purchase transfer payment, if it did get tight, might be one that you pay somewhere else or something. Is that what you talked about, I guess? I don't know.
I mean, we would potentially have to pay it out of the general fund
Yeah.
if we can't afford to pay it out of the transfer station.
I've got some, and I'm just gonna talk generally here, because I don't wanna talk a certain city, but I'm doing one that I haven't done in 20 years, city here in your county. And this whole area here, I'm just trying to understand from their perspective, okay? So like, waste management
Yeah.
picks up some of the cities, is that right?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
less and less every day.
Less and less every day.
So, and you'll probably know what I'm talking about here, but I don't wanna, I just wanna, anyway, so if they pick it up, but the transfer station won't take it, I guess that's been a problem. The transfer station won't take it.
It was too far away, it's closer for them to take it back
Well,
home.
I think he's talking about a different community,
Yeah.
not ours.
No, it's
No.
not, it's.
Okay.
I could say it, I guess, it's Lehigh. I mean, I just started doing, I'm helping them, they've got, I mean, they're a little bitty
It's
city.
closer to go to McPherson, it's got the Marion.
Well, they go to Wichita, they make that the last
Wichita.
stop, but they've had some where they've even, a roll-off dumpster that, they brought over and they refused it or something. So I don't wanna create a bunch of, I was just trying to understand how that works.
One other thing that's not happening, that may be happening too, is what you said, Waste Management just sent out letters here last week, is that when it was? And they cut another route off in our county.
A few of them.
Two routes, okay. And so, but the city of Peabody is, that's never been brought to our transfer station.
Yeah.
Waste Management has
It always
taken-
goes south.
It always goes
Yeah.
south. So if it ever starts coming our way,
Uh-huh.
it's be an increase, yeah, but I don't know if.
Well, the reason, I mean, I wasn't gonna bring it up with you, but I think you all need to understand that, because I was trying to explain to them how the fees and, you know, how the fund runs. I just didn't know all the rules.
But if it's a private dumpster, that's always paid for.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they pay the fee, that, I mean, when we're talking about the fee here, they pay their fee on the taxes. This was where, I think there was maybe a fire in a house or something, and they had a roll-off, and they brought it over, and one of them, it wasn't taken, so I was trying to understand why. Just to.
Is there cement or something like that?
It's construction.
I have no
Yeah.
idea.
And
I'm just-
construction doesn't fall under the fee. The fee.
No, I think they understood that, but they just were refused to actually take the dump. So that's what I was trying to understand. I was just, I thought maybe there's special rules I didn't know about. And I'm not trying to generate.
Well, but there's some hazardous, would have been
I mean,
hazardous
if they were
material.
full up with some other stuff, didn't have room to take it.
Yeah.
Asbestos?
What?
I mean, they already had a house there,
But
you know.
that's one of our problems.
If they showed up
Yeah.
without making
Arrangements.
pre-arrangements.
I
Ranches, yes.
Okay, there may be other things in the story. I was just trying to understand.
There's always another
I told them
story.
I know quite a bit on the county side, but I don't know how the operations works out, but, you know.
The only thing I could justifiably see that is they didn't wanna pay the C&D fee.
Yeah, they didn't act like the fee was a problem. They went over there to do it.
I would
don't-
just say,
Or it wasn't planned.
we wasn't planning, we
Okay, so
already
that may have
had
been what it was.
one in there, and
Gotcha.
it takes a couple of days to get rid of it.
Especially a roll-off.
I
You
got
ba-
you.
you
So
basically
that may have been-
loading the truck already with regular
Yeah.
trash, and now you're gonna have this whole load, a
Yeah.
whole nother load of
Yeah.
truck,
Yeah.
basically on a roll-off.
So I was just, in a sense, I was wanting to bring it to you because
It's
I
communication.
work for you, and I wanted to make sure the communication was open, since I was helping them. So it's just something I was actually gonna talk to you, because I think you're the commissioner for that area. But,
They never contacted me about it.
no, they said they were just kinda surprised.
In the last 6 months, or here, or
Yeah, it's in the
couple
last,
weeks, or-
it's in the last, probably 6 months, I would guess.
Because, you know, they aren't gonna take something that's got hazardous waste in it.
No, I don't know I don't know what to contain, we were just talking about it. So anyway, I don't really have anything else to mention on that fund, but that's a tight one. Yeah.
we know that.
Well, you already knew that. I think you-
There's an increase of 25%. All right.
That should help.
That'll help, yes, that'll help. Okay,
And that's pretty significant.
yeah, it is, yeah. 26, I really didn't have anything there. 27, the bait shop. I put the balance in what's called lake improvements and the transfer of 15 to the park. And I just built that in 24 to zero it out. Not that you want to zero it out, but that 10, I think what you told me, the way my notes looked, the lake improvement line is where you were gonna build, when you make the little extra money, so you can turn around and put it back into the lake. But I don't know how you wanna show it, that's just how I had it noted on mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, sheet. The rest of these are just the non-budgeted funds. So, I was telling Tina what we have, and she knows, she's the clerk, she knows better than I do, but, we just have to have the date and, mill levy. Now this is, I guess, I'm trying to get Pratt City to the clerk in Pratt County, and I thought you had to have I thought the statute said total mill levy, but then CIC last year had put each levy fund. So you're the expert, what are we supposed to do there? Can I turn in the notice, Lori now at the county clerk, she said, now it looks like you can do the total, but your software, the software drives this.
Yeah, it does, so I'd have to look at that, but I think that, what I actually need by next Thursday.
Thursday, yeah.
Is the total levy rate,
Yeah,
the total dollars,
yeah, we have that.
tax dollars, and the hearing date, time and location, if you're gonna exceed.
You can kind of see the revenue neutral rate, which you exceeded by about 2. I just want to get that right, and, because here's the
We
deal.
may have to like to put it in the notice, I won't be mailing those notices out
Yeah.
until August, but we would
Yeah.
need then to have everything.
Yeah.
If I have to separate it out, we would have to have that fairly soon.
Yeah,
After the
because
20th.
here's what yours, a county is a little more complicated because you have so many funds that are levied. So if you go back to page 1, that's why I was trying, I mean, I think Pratt City only had 5 funds, but I didn't want to back them in a corner. If I didn't, I'm just.
As long as it's the same value, if it's
Total.
calculated off the same value, you should, I believe, be able to use the total. If it's calculated off of a different value, so like, for instance, the schools,
Yeah.
or there's townships that have
Oh.
certain things that are not calculated the same, like fire funds and
Yeah.
things like that, or don't apply equally, those have to be separate.
Yeah, because here's my concern. You look at column O, and we say we're gonna levy 20.50 mills in the general, and you go down to road and bridge, and we're gonna levy 25.671. And when we finish up this, we don't have the budget finished. I told my wife goes, you are working way more than you ever have. Well, I said, yeah, because the state put a budget in 1 month. I mean, I'm trying to get all these budgets done in one, because you can't just, this is my fear, is if I tell you this is what the levy is let's just say 75, but then they go back to the fund and we're finishing the budget up when we figure out that the road and bridge needs 28 instead of 25. I don't know if I can change that. That's my fear. So, you see what I'm saying? Because if it's a total, I don't care then.
Right.
We can make this worksheet work. But if I have to turn in on July 20th, every one of these fund levies, and they are locked in, that's a problem. And I wish they had, I mean, right now is when they need to have the hearing up in Topeka, because I would drive there and have a little.
Next question.
Here, you have a hammer.
Yeah, give me the gavel. Anyway, I was on with the city clerk driving over here, and I was so wound up. And she's from Bentley, which it's only the 2nd year I've done it. I said, I'm sorry. I'm talking a little bit about not your city. I'm talking about the state right now. I'm wound up about the R&R, and the clerks are probably wound up more than I am. But that's just.
If we have a total mill levy
Yeah.
and the rest for the July 20 notice, that's fine, but by the time we publish, we need to
Oh
have
yeah,
it.
publish. I totally understand that. And I told Lori
And by
that.
the time I put the notices out too, it'd be good to have it,
Yeah.
because that, we do have to try to put those.
Now,
in the-
someone said that if you put the total, I think it was Sedgwick County, that's where Bentley's at. If you put the total, they would take the certificate page, or no, maybe it's the publication page behind it, or something doing that. I'm kind of afraid to do the publication page behind the notice on July 20th for the clerk, because I don't want that's not really gonna be the publication page yet.
So, we will need either their certificate or the publication page before we do the notices.
Before you do that.
Before we do the mail notices, and that has to be done really before we publish generally.
Yeah.
At the same time. Usually we have to have those ready.
So you don't have to send the notices out till August?
They have to go out at least 10 days before the hearing, the first hearing.
Okay.
And the first hearing potential date
It's
is August 20th.
yeah,
So
yeah.
they have to go out August 10th, which means we have to have them there by the end, we have to have them there
Right, first week, yeah.
less before that.
Okay, here's another
honestly.
thing, if you're on other boards, this is something this is Scott Lloyd's rule. After Whitewater got nailed last year, and we had to go back to the R&R, and Tina and I talked about this yesterday. Some papers just said, oh, it just didn't make it in. I go, it didn't make it in? I mean, and all of a sudden, we have this, if you're locked to the revenue neutral rate, above the revenue neutral rate, and it doesn't make it in, and it doesn't get published, and all those dates are messed up, you gotta go back to the revenue neutral rate. So Whitewater, yours is 300 and some thousand, 350,000. Whitewater, for a little bitty city, was almost 5 mils, it was almost 20 grand, and we lost it because the paper didn't get it in. So what I'm telling people is 20 days, not 10 days. So I'm pushing all the hearings into September,
Yeah.
backing it up 20 days, and making a run at the paper the first time, and making sure it gets in there. If it doesn't make it in there, then we have another 10-day period, because for some of these little cities, 20 grand, I mean, that's a lot.
We've had issues as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just kind of my.
Try to
Yeah.
run it in 2 different papers.
The only one is legal.
Yeah, there's a lot on that too, and I'm not gonna get into that right here on this.
So you're telling me though, Scott, that your 2024 budget comes out the 74,999, same levy as we had last year?
That's what
The way that it is.
that's
right
the way it
now.
is right now. That's the way I got it. And there's those holes I'm telling you about.
Yeah.
I mean, that transferring 7 mills, you know, of the sales tax money is.
Right.
Well, we were levying,
Yeah.
we weren't transferring all sales tax, we
Yeah.
were levying.
Levying the 7
7
mills
mills
too, yeah.
Transferring
But-
to capital improvement, and that's not in there.
Yeah, the full amount's not.
We all know we sat here and spent a lot more money
Mhm.
than we did, you know, on payroll
Yeah.
and other things we had to do. And you're coming out with the same one, and as we was going through, 7 mills transfer is a big thing for road and bridge.
Yeah.
And I've had 2 different commissioners come in, and there's one, and there's one over here.
Yeah.
Has come in, and when Kent first come in, we had a bad road up the north, 330th.
Yeah.
And we had the extra money to spend and go fix that road. Going after these bonds, same thing, you're going after to fix them, but you're wanting to take out of our 7 mills.
Yeah.
And so, I can guarantee you, for the years before this, 7 mills was what we built up. That always built our fund to have money, to try to money without going for the loan, like we did. And to have money to do something like we did at 330th. I don't know what we spent there, was it 1.2 or something like
Yeah,
that?
it was over $1 million.
Yeah, it was over $1 million for that 7 or 8 miles, whatever it was. So, I'm just saying,
Well, let's look at it
You're-
this way, okay? I just thought of this. So go to page 12, and we're spending, let me get the right number here. 200 minus 63.3, okay. So we're spending $645,900 on the principal payments for roads, okay? So another way you could actually look at this, I mean, I'm an outsider here,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
another way you can look at this is you divide that by the 173, 778, and that is almost 4 mils, it's 3.7 mils. So if you were really looking at the total package, in a sense, maybe you don't have to make as much of a transfer over here because you're funding it over here as a debt service levy. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just thought of that, I hadn't really thought about that before, but.
But also, we did talk about this before, like the first year, we would be able to fund that out of, you know, but the reduction in the transfer, but if you wanna keep putting extra money, or putting
Yeah.
money in that,
Right.
you're gonna have to increase the levy. We
Right.
had that whole conversation.
Yeah.
And so, that's what it looks like if you don't increase the levy.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and then the other one is, I've got is the three supervisors is for the ambulance department.
Yeah,
That's one of them.
yeah, that's, well, I didn't mention that, that's another
Yeah.
fund that probably,
Mhm.
depending on how you go with it.
Yeah, some
Yeah.
decisions need to probably be
Yeah.
made.
That's more wage slips than might not.
Yeah.
I don't know how you find that many people in 1 year.
Well, yeah, but.
I think what's frustrating today, like I just, you know, these different departments, you know, oh, I'm fully funded, I mean, I'm fully staffed. And when I go back to my next meeting, oh no, we lost 2 last week. You know, I mean, it's just, it's.
Hour by hour.
Yeah.
It's just, it's unbelievable.
We have, you all had a conversation that was brought up during a meeting recently about setting aside money for our building maintenance, for example, at the jail and the courthouse and different areas, and potentially setting up a different fund for that, or how, you know, I think that was something that you mentioned you might wanna talk about today.
Yeah, I don't know where that's at, but, right over here, Scott, we had an air conditioner go down for
Yeah.
30,000
On the jail?
on the jail,
Yeah, I remember we
27,000.
were talking about that, they were having some problems, yeah.
So,
Got 9 more to go.
so, yeah, yeah, and
Hey,
we're 12 years into the building.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we felt lucky we was get the building and we could move ahead, but now we're 10, 12 years down the road and we're having some
Yeah.
problems.
Gotta take
How do we-
care of it.
How do we prepare for that same thing? Because this year we had some money that come in,
Yeah.
we had that, we found it.
Yeah.
But we may not want to do that every year.
That's right.
And so then my problem with it was I want to put it in a line item in their budget.
Yeah.
Put it-
Tina objected,
put it in
and
the
that's a good thing, because what happens if you put that money over there and they
They
come
can
to the end of
spend
the
it for
year
anything.
and they, oh, I've got money.
Yeah.
I didn't spend it on the
Yeah.
maintenance.
With risk
That's-
Risk management is where we need to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a different fund that you set up for building.
Now, see, you run your capital improvement here different. The reason it was all set up back in the day was roads.
Yeah.
But see, in the others, what we're doing like at Jackson, I'm gonna take that $7 million, put some in risk management, and then I'm gonna build they already do this, they just don't put it in the dollars. They have, in November, they have every department head come in, and if they have any excess in their budget that they've saved, that is the transfer they make. That's how they got $7.7 million. They give the incentive to the department head to save the money, and then that goes into their equipment reserve for things like that. And that's just another way, I mean, and so them and Pratt, they're gonna write a resolution that states how that works. And once the money goes into that equipment reserve, it's your control, not the, I mean, that sounds crazy. It's your control, not the department head's control. But they understand that, and they got it marked, and then what we do is, I'm gonna do is, down the side, I'll put every one of those departments, and put the, Pratt requires is immediate, 2-year, 5-year, 10-year. And that's the way that's the way they write the county council there is excellent. I mean, he's a young kid, but he's very involved every meeting, okay? And he's gonna, when I get done with this, like the worksheet, we're gonna do one for capital improvement, because they get all that windmill money, okay? 1.5 million, and it's paying bonds now for their new building. But we're gonna build it that way and then tie the resolution to that, because I told them, I don't think I'm probably gonna be doing this at 95. And I mean, maybe 85. I said, but think about that, what we had to learn. Now here, we've worked together for a long time, but when you go into a new county like that, and then Jackson, there is so much to learn. And the clerk that was there for 43 years at Jackson's gone. The other clerk is a deputy, she knows a lot. Put those things in writing. Those big things that are important, like equipment reserve, capital improvement, and some of these we do have in writing. I don't know what we.
And you said there was a resolution setting up capital improvement back in the day, but we've been looking for
And
it,
there's not
and
one.
we're really
Yeah.
struggling with that.
It may not be
So-
there.
But you hit another point that this commission needs to take. We have 2 wind farms, and we don't have nothing set for that money. It's sort of sitting there.
Right now, though,
Yeah.
just keep in mind, we have it in separate funds, but on the financials in the budget, it's included in the general fund
That's right.
money.
Right.
Yeah.
That's part of what's being reflected as general fund money
Yeah,
out
we-
here.
we
So
did.
if you take that out, your general fund is even sitting worse than
Yeah.
what we're talking
So
about.
that's
We're setting, if you took
We gotta
those
keep the
out,
general
on
fund.
page 7, if you looked at page 7, if you took those 2 in lieu of and when that income out for 3 years there, that's 400 grand.
Page 7.
Yeah, page
And,
7.
and the actual fund balance, cash that we're carrying for those funds is included in the general fund cash.
That's right.
And it's not, it's
Where
quite a
you-
bit of money.
what line you looking at?
It's down at the bottom of page 7, about, it's above the circles for interest,
Yeah.
where the interest is, it's 2 lines right above it.
Okay, and you have taxes, Diamond, Vista?
Yeah, and I don't know, I mean,
I'll
Tina will look at
check
those
all
numbers,
those numbers.
those numbers may not be all nailed down, but
Okay.
see what happened at Pratt, when I came in there, they were doing a similar thing, they were just dumping it in the general, and it was just kinda, and I said, we gotta get this, cause that's a big, 1.5 million jumps out at you, and auditor stuck it in miscellaneous, okay? That's why it jumped out. I go, you got 1.5 million in miscellaneous income? I go, wow, what are you doing?
The other-
Oh, it's wind farm, okay.
Going out for
So-
supper, huh?
Yeah, so we're cleaning some of that out. Do
The
what?
other thing on
Uh-huh.
Diamond Vista,
Yep.
we were at 100,000 year over year, I think.
It goes
It
back to
goes-
the regular.
It
pay.
goes back,
to the
yeah.
regular.
I
So
don't
now
have.
you'll have a
Right, that's
regular.
what, that's one of the things that I need to,
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And we don't, I don't know what this one down here is gonna kick in.
I have information on like what the school districts and everything will get. We worked on that earlier this year, and I don't know.
Is that the one on the way to Peabody?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, I went to Pop's Diner for a budget meeting on Saturday morning.
Okay.
At Pop's Diner with your
Yeah.
fire district. And I get motion sick, okay? And so I'm driving down the road to Peabody and all the windmills are turning at the same time. And I'm serious, I got down to the Highway 50 and my stomach was upset because there was, I mean,
Don't look up at your
I
blinders
know,
on.
I
Keep your eyes on the road. Don't be looking around.
Well, I was amazed, I mean, I've heard you talk about this, but I hadn't driven that road for a while.
They just turned on.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah, it's
I was
30
like,
days,
oh
yeah.
goodness. That's.
But there has been talk ever since we first voted the money up north,
Yeah.
of what would we do with that money? And this commission hasn't done nothing with it my goal was to, you just said,
Okay.
build buildings with it. I
Well,
mean,
what happened?
Why would I not
Just to
say
tell
that?
you what happened. What happened at
Do something
Pratt?
extra.
I
for
tell
the
you, this
county.
environment, this culture that we've lived in though the last 4 or 5 years,
Yeah.
you always have these fires to put out.
Yeah, you do.
At this point, it's putting out fires.
You know, and so, you say, oh, it's for this. Well, maybe not.
Yeah.
You
So
know?
risk that to be
And
general fund.
I don't see that changing anytime soon.
It's like having your rich uncle die, you know. You got.
But I do
get
like
you
that
next year.
concept of bringing in your department heads at a certain point.
Yeah, they did.
I mean,
Both-
I think that's a
both
good
Pratt
exercise.
And Jackson County do that, where they bring them in and around the end of October, November, they look at their budget, they see where they're at. If they've saved, let's just say they've saved 15% of their total budget, then that's how they get that 7.7 million, that's how it got transferred in there.
And that's how we fund our next year's budget, usually.
Yes, absolutely.
We just reduce that middle column. That's where I gain dollars in the
Yep.
middle
Yeah.
to fund next year, so we don't raise the taxes.
Right.
So it's a different
It's a
culture
different
and a different
concept.
way of
That's
doing
right.
it,
That's
where
right.
you're not gonna have those reserves to help start funding the
That's
next
right.
year. Instead, you're saving for the future for projects that need to be done.
I think,
And
and
for
one other
things that-
point to that, I think somebody in the commission at some point there, the department heads need to be responsible for saving money instead of.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
that
or
makes a lot
you-
more sense than calling in, saying, we looked at our budget and we say, there's no way.
Yeah.
And we call them in and say, every department, you find us 5%.
Yeah.
Cut your budget by 5%.
It's whatever work, I mean, Tina's right, this has worked well here, Tina's done a great job. I'm just giving you, my job is to give you, I think.
Well, it's not sustainable.
Options, yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
We've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're to the point it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to start putting money back
Yeah.
to do some of those other things. And you may need to be looking at increasing your levy this year instead of staying at 75.
To me, it's most likely this year because the money we spent for wages, something has to go up, or we lose somewhere.
Yeah.
It has to.
I mean, this is simplified, but, and we've talked about this, but if, let's just go back to that 10%. So if it goes up 10% on $10 million, that's $1 million, okay, of expense. So if the expense goes up, the mill levy stays flat or goes down, what gets hit? Unencumbered cash. So that's why Pratt was in, they had to raise 6 mills last year to get this thing all, and we're still, and Rick, he's a younger farmer. He finally, this is funny, his wife told him over the weekend, Rick, would you stop worrying about this? It took you 8 years to get in this hole, and you're not gonna get out of the hole in 1 year. He was trying to get it all back, and you're not gonna do that. It's something you have to continually look at for a 4 to 5, 6 year period and keep looking down the road and knowing that you went like this, you know? Now, their building, there, I will say, you have problems with a 12-year building.
Yeah.
They've got a building that's less than 1 year, and they've got problems, okay? I mean, so you have
Yeah.
problems that.
Kinda like Abilene.
It's like leaks, I
We
mean,
were
it's just really crazy. But I went by it the other day, I hadn't been by it, it says on the, if you're there, you ought to go look, it's like, if you go to, I know, you don't go to Pratt, but it's on the, be the east side of town, about a mile out. They built it on the side of a hill, so they have EMS, it's kind of what you're doing with the little building out here,
Right.
but they have the whole operations.
Sure.
So it's something you've talked about, you know, of having, but it was like $4.5 million.
Is that the city of Pratt? or-
No, this is the Pratt County.
Pratt County.
They went in and they did their emergency management, EMS, there's several of them, I can't remember, there's like, I think there's 7 departments that
Oh,
moved,
wow.
that moved out there.
Wow.
And I mean, it's very, like for ambulance, it's awesome, because it's very easily accessed, it's like, literally just like a football field off of Highway 400,
Right.
you know, and I hadn't seen it, I just drove by it to see what it's like. But that may work for Pratt, it may not work for you, I'm just telling you,
Yeah,
what they did, and they seemed, with the cost, like,
Mhm.
they went from a little bitty building, like
Yeah.
one department, and the utilities out there, so we're trying to figure out, you know, I mean, it's like when you set the jail up, you know, you had to figure all that out.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, I'm rambling now. Anything else?
There's a couple more items. The CDDO, did we ever take action on that one?
No, we haven't.
And the Marion County Corps, those two I've got on my sheet that haven't been
Oh,
addressed
you
yet.
need that.
It's the
Yeah.
community development,
Oh,
or no, sorry.
Do you have a
It's the
motion or?
disability.
Just trying to get a feeling first, because I know they want reserve until we had this discussion and how tight budget was gonna be. So,
I guess I just told my opinion the other day was on CDDO is the 10,000, if it was maximum of 10,000, over our 70,000 that we budgeted, would be go to project search directly through CDDO. But that-
earmarked for search.
Earmarked for that, yeah. That's just that's just sort of a guideline that I would use.
Do you think CDDO needs to fund all of Project Search? I mean, it is actually it's a benefit to Tabor. You got half of the graduates are working for Tabor. I mean, I think at this point, since it's kind of established,
Okay.
you know, they need a little bit of meat in the game.
Well, I'm not gonna argue that, Ken. I'm looking at it from not.
I'm just looking at
saying-
it from the perspective that I've been a mentor there.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, you got the director and you got a teacher.
Yeah,
So you got 2 salaries,
yeah.
and usually about 4, maybe 5
Students.
students.
At the max, I think that's been the maximum
Yeah,
program size.
yeah.
That gets paid.
But
And of course, you know, Tabor's providing the classrooms, but they've had them available that they may say at some point, oh, our enrollment's increasing, you gotta find a spot for them.
But they're creating professionals year over year that are staying within our community, buying houses, doing stuff.
I don't know if we're doing that much. You gotta realize what the level of the students we're
Yeah, I
dealing
mean,
with, is the talent, ability and stuff is. And so-
But
they're-
it makes people viable, a
But they're
viable
viable.
part of the
I just
community.
wanna understand all
You know,
this
and so-
before I make a choice on it.
And maybe one student out of those 4 may be able to establish a home, but maybe 3 of them can't, couldn't live on their own.
Okay.
So what was our budget allocation?
70.
70 is what we've been at.
I mean,
And that's what they requested, but if there was any additional, then
Yeah,
they would put it to that.
project search, yeah.
I mean, we're basically paying almost all the salaries. I mean, I think the
no.
director, that you got a director and you got a
Okay,
teacher.
No,
but
our 70
CDDO doesn't, they do many other things. Project
Yeah.
Search is just a small part of
Right,
what they
right.
fund. Yeah.
Project search.
I'm
is
just
I
talking
think,
about Project
Out
Search.
of CDDO
We
fund, I
don't
think it's only
fund-
about 18 to 20,000 what we're putting over there.
But I mean, they don't break it out from that on what's
Out
actually
of-
going,
out-
they haven't broken out what's actually going to
No.
Project Search, which
Yeah,
To me, it'd be nice if they did. I would think they could be able to do that quite easily.
that was
On the
topic of last meeting. is this.
Proposal though, they said just basically any, so that they're shooting to break even basically, and any extra funds are going in.
Yeah, yeah,
So they are not gouging,
no.
is what, the way I took it.
No.
Basically, we're giving it up, we're not.
Well, you're talking about 18,000 or something. So what is the rest of that budget fund?
Goes all to, it intermingles with their public facility, their.
Yeah, I
what
mean,
they
it
do.
all goes into one pot.
Yeah, all
Sure.
goes in, and it's divided out
You got
to,
an
It's just we
administrator
never
in
get
there.
any cost benefit analysis.
you've got 3 people. You got the administrator, 2 full-time, well, 4 people, then Elizabeth, the old director, she's a part-time, so.
Yeah,
So that's.
What do they do?
Huh?
What do they do?
Just go out and make sure that the people that's on the list.
They're
is taken
employees
care
of
of.
Tabor?
Huh?
They're employed by Tabor?
No,
Over here?
CDO was not
No, no.
employed by Tabor.
No, this is all Harvey, Marion County.
It's
This
the
is
community
like-
the Community Disability Organization.
Yeah.
Community, I can't remember the
This-
abbreviation.
Yeah.
Community
Development,
Developmental Disability
But
Organization.
they've partnered with Tabor, because Tabor's got something that fits in their avenue.
yeah, that's how we got involved in Tabor.
I'm sorry to put all the
No, that's
pieces
right,
together.
that's right.
That's right.
Mhm. That's right.
So would there be a motion to accept a request at 70,000?
I mean, the budget we're looking at today's already got it in there.
Yeah,
Right.
So I would feel comfortable with that one.
yeah. I'm just looking if there's anybody looking at any extra, you know. And I would think that, there for a long time, we was level with Prairie View. But Prairie View, since I've been here, has put a building in, employed more people in Marion County. And so I think that's why we went up on the budget on that. And so CDO stayed back a little bit, and that's all right. I just, maybe we just do a 5,000 project search this year. Maybe that would be on top of the 70,000. I'd make that well, you've already got a motion.
He didn't make a
Nope,
motion.
there's no
No
motion.
motion on the floor.
I'm just agreeing with you.
Okay.
I'm seeing the pieces and
Yeah.
understanding where it's going.
Okay, so did you make a motion?
I would make a motion to go with the 70,000 that's budgeted, plus an additional 5,000 that goes directly earmarked for project search.
Okay, got a Motion
Can't
from
state.
Commissioner Galkey, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Garing. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. Nay.
Yay.
Okay, motion carried 3-2.
Okay.
Extra
Maybe
5,000
going
bucks.
into next year, could we ask for a little bit more in layout of expenditures and that sort of thing? Seems like these nonprofits,
Yeah.
you know, they say, we need X, okay,
They have a nice brochure.
that's it. We need X.
I guess that's why I see why the type budget and that increase now.
Yeah.
For this organization. And
I
think
mean,
getting the
I'd like to
extra
see
background.
exactly where everything's going.
So, all right, what else do you have?
Marion County Core Community.
Okay.
Called for 50,000. I would really like to fund it, but it goes back to the budget. And the budget is tight. We're talking about not raising the middle.
You raised the other 5.
Yeah. But,
Little contradiction.
well, that's just saying, that's,
Very small compared to what.
And that's new this
elsewhere.
year?
yeah, it's new.
Yeah, it's new.
And what did it replace?
It didn't replace anything. We haven't funded anything that yet.
Well, it
Took the place
it re-
circles,
Place
yeah.
circles.
but we've never funded
Okay.
circles.
I thought we had them.
No, we have not.
Is there a motion to fund Marion County Core Communities? If not, we'll move on.
What about if we did 5,000, like we did on the increase for search?
Something's better than nothing for them, I'm sure, so.
Okay, is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll make that a motion.
Okay, Commissioner Becker moved to fund Marion County Core Communities the amount of 5,000. Is there a second?
Yes.
Second, Commissioner Galkey. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0. Yeah, we got the big decisions out of the way.
Sorry,
I need to
Scott,
follow
got 10
up.
grand back on.
Not a problem. I need to follow up with one other thing. So back to your point about how you tie income to projects on the windmill.
Yeah.
So the reason they were able to do this, I mean, they've got a bigger number than you do,
Right.
but it all goes, we got it all switched over to capital improvement, that's where they deposit it, and that's where the bond is for that 4.4. So to the citizens, I forget what, I don't remember how long it goes, 10, 15 years maybe?
What they,
15 years, I think it is. They fund that whole debt with that 1.5 million to build that building. So, it says, how do we tie it to different
Yeah.
things that the public would want to use it for? I mean, that, there's, every one of them is different. And all your list up here and all these different things are different, but that was one thing I know.
and I guess that's where I was coming from, you know, is it's in our community and we want to help everything with it. And I was, and they're doing it with the building, and that's where I got my ideas,
Yeah.
something like that.
Anyway, anything else?
Okay, what decisions do we need today?
So by Monday, I think you like.
We need the date.
Would you like
Monday?
Monday?
So-
Day?
I mean, I think if the board really needs to decide if you're gonna stick with a 74.999, that's a decision you need to make today, because if
Yeah.
you wanna raise it, then Scott,
That's what
right.
I thought.
She went back and looked at
I'm trying to make this
make it bigger.
Let's see.
If you go here to the, that arrow down at the bottom, very down at the bottom, drag over there, drag it over, that little thing right there, down a little farther, nope, that, plus,
What?
just
drag
No,
it out.
this,
right there.
gotcha.
Just drag that thing over.
Okay.
There you go. Sorry. I should've just pointed, I was
Thank
looking up
you.
there and I should've pointed
That's
out.
like-
Now I can
There
see
we
it.
can see it. Yeah.
Thank you.
So she went back to 14, look at that, I didn't realize, because
Wow.
you have to remember what happened here is the assessed values. And
Yes.
1 year was 14 million, or, I mean, it was a big jump. Yeah,
That's the year that we dropped it.
yeah.
1, 2, 3,
So we've
4,
been
5,
very
6.
steady there.
Let's see, 15 through 22, 7 years. We've been in the 74 to 76 range, mostly 74s. Under 75, 2 years above out of 7. That's not possible, folks. I mean, appraised values went up. She hurt me this year in the cemetery district. My appraised value went down in the cemetery.
I didn't do it.
Oh, okay.
Seriously.
That was the first notice I got.
Always team.
That's
I'm
been our
just
saving
the
grace the last few
messenger.
years, is just evaluation.
Yes, yes.
You know, I mean, it has.
Which
Going-
is.
Going forward, I don't know.
Maybe we can go up 2 mils or something.
Where would you go with the 2 mills if you went up?
Where would I go?
Yeah.
In what department or?
Well, yeah, would you, just for general, everything?
Yeah, I guess.
Risk management.
Here's something to think about.
Be building a reserve for future.
Risk management.
Here's something to think about, I just thought of here. If you wanna make, and it would be a 1-year thing, but if you wanted to make the general fund whole with the diamond income, all that income, what you do is you fund with 2 mils a year or 1 mil, whatever that number is you pick, and you replace that with the income that's sitting in the general fund to get the general fund whole, and then take your the amount of your windmill income and put it in another fund or capital improvement fund to match it up with whatever projects, and then the general fund is not relying on that, and you're using the income to do, you know, like a capital project or something.
That's a good idea.
And
And it's
then
not,
also-
okay,
Yeah, no, that's good. Also, consider what you wanna do for your roads, the capital improvement, because with the,
We're not getting cheaper.
well, we're not funding that either in the current budget, so.
Not building anything.
anyway, I was just thinking about
Just
that.
maintaining it
Yeah.
now.
And the way that you're talking about doing it, it would be good, because then you're actually you levy it in the general fund, because that's
Yeah.
where the most flexibility is. Once you move the money, you can always move it back.
Yeah.
Instead of levying it in a fund like risk management or some other
Yeah.
funds. Of course, risk management's not really
Yeah.
statutorily a levy fund, is it?
Yeah, you can fund
Oh,
it,
you
and then
can.
you can fund it and
Okay.
then actually transfer it back.
Okay.
But that transparency you were talking about to me,
Nice.
then you have, if it's 500,000 sitting over the capital improvement, it's the windmill money.
Yeah.
And it's not just sitting in the general fund doing operations.
Mhm.
See, that I've got another city that sales tax is in the general fund and it shouldn't be there, okay? So, it should be it's going for something else. And, so we're gonna have to figure out how to get that out of there. So that happens sometimes when you stick in the general and it's funding the general.
I've
But
had
it's-
concerns about our sales tax
Yeah.
being there too,
Mhm.
because the road and bridge
Yeah.
sales tax.
Yeah. Okay.
Commissioner Chairman, is there any discussion on, I just heard somebody mention 2 mills.
You mentioned 2 mills.
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. And where are you going to put the 2 mills? Because right now, my understanding is we have the balance budget at 74.95.
That's what, you'd have to have a resolution to do something like what you just talked about, right, Scott?
To what? Oh,
To
you mean
transfer?
To transfer? No, because the general fund can transfer to the capital improvement, and that's where the money's setting. Now, I think there should be, for future commissioners and whatever, there should be a directive that says, it's like when you were trying to look for the capital improvement, Jack, Jack, he just come up with that idea, and that's why we funded the capital.
Yeah.
We kind
That's
of
why
worked together on it, that's how
It's
we.
at 7 mills. yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's been a directive that we've sort of followed, but it was already written and everything like that, so that's why we've had that before I even come here, so it's been a good thing. I guess I would, just gonna throw it out to Dave, if he wants to make the motion, or not.
Before you make the motion, let me just tell, I was adding something up here I want to tell you. So back to,
Hey, there's a little more to talk about.
so back to the debt service portion on the roads, okay? So that's 3.71, and the 535 as it sets right now on the 7 mil line is 3.8 mills. That comes to 6.79, and what you said you would fund in mill levy was 7. When you did it. So, that's just my thoughts.
Mhm.
You're getting close
So
to
you
this.
just split it.
You split it,
It's
you're
not
it's
being-
not technically coming out of the,
Right.
yeah. And that is mill levy, that one is transfer to capital outlay, 7 mills to mill levy when it was set up, so.
Yeah.
Technically, our assessment fee being raised by 25% is just under a mil.
Under mill.
Or under.
On the solid.
On the solid
Yeah,
waste.
transfer station.
Was the paper right, did we go 25% on residential?
Residential and
That's-
commercial.
I know we was wasn't there a $10 talk about or something?
There was talk, but that wasn't.
We
the
didn't do
vote.
that, we went to
It was
25.
not the motion.
Okay.
That was 10, something a month. Tina broke it down. That's probably where they gathered it, something. It wasn't a huge number.
Are you talking three mills in, Scott, to get half of that?
Oh, no, I didn't say any mills, I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
he's just-
I'm just
He's
saying.
just saying it's divided.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at how you wanna get whole.
Yeah.
If that's what you think is whole, where you take your money and don't fund the general fund with it, but you wanna fund it's up to you, you're the commissioner, that makes the decision. So if it was, I don't know what that number is, Tina will find it out, but
Right.
let's just say it's 400,000, maybe it's 5, it's been going for a while, so it may be a little more than that.
We've been steady for 6 years.
Struggling with raising it when we've got these things coming into play, and then it guarantees the community that they won't get the brunt of it as long as they are welcoming to these industries. And I struggle with that,
Yeah.
We get wind farms, and they pick up some of the load, so it doesn't go on the taxpayers.
Yeah, and then we don't have to raise taxes.
Yeah, I struggle with that.
I struggle with that too, because as a commission, since I've been on here, all we ever talk about is the tax side, where we're at. We've never talked about, okay, can we bring the department heads in and say, find us 3% efficiency, find us 2% efficiency. A figure that's not gonna impact the operation of the department, but just going through every darn line item. I think it's a exercise that needs to be done. We've never done it.
Well, leading up to that, I don't know how the rest of the commission feels about it, but I would like it if Scott would put on something for all the department heads to actually understand what the terminology of their budget means. I've heard people ask me, what's encumbered mean?
Yeah.
I mean, they just, and I know Tina takes care of everything, so why do you need to know
It'd be nice if
this?
somebody actually has a question, if they would ask us, because we don't get those questions.
But I just wonder if it would be beneficial for their department
See,
heads to understand
I've
what
never
their
done it
budget
here.
does.
I've never
and how
done it here, but
ties.
there's so many new people like in these others. So all the 4 counties I work with, we do a 2 to 3 hour training before the budget process starts. And I take your budget and I literally tear it apart and show them how it works. Now, some people get the deer in headlights look. I mean, they may retain it, they may not.
Yeah.
But some, just like that, if you can give terminology. When Tina says, oh, you can't do that because unencumbered cash is this, what does that mean? You know, I mean, it's things like that. But I'd be glad to do that as part of the, because I do it on all the others. I did City of Pratt. We met for 3 hours with all the department heads, and I explained all that. And I had the department heads come up with me, and they've been there, some of them been there 10 to 20 years. We go, that's the first time we've ever had that experience.
Yeah, it'd be important.
And then that would help. If you were ever to say, hey, could you find me 3%, then they could see the bigger picture,
Yeah.
you know?
One thing I just thought of too, on that windmill income, you don't have it in a county, but you have it in a city. It's called franchise tax, okay? And what franchise tax is the way you either set the transfer from your owned utility. So like in Pratt, electric, water, sewer, and you take I think they don't know what it is, but we were just kind of backing into it, 10%, okay? And you take 10% of the gross income off of those utilities, and that helps fund the general fund. So like what you're talking about there is you have other resources coming in besides just the tax, and that's done in a city a lot. But one thing you could do, I don't know how it was presented when you put the wind farms in, but one thing you could do is say that is a funding for operations. I don't know what you told, I mean, if it was told or voted on, or how it was all done. Was it set up for just capital purposes? Is there any stipulation?
Set up.
Is more for tax reduction of the mill levy? I mean, is that why it was done, or?
It was a gift to the county, we don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's
Yeah.
not actually on the
Been
tax
nothing
roll.
designated, Scott.
Yeah.
You gotta look at it as tax income, as tax.
Sure.
Payment in lieu of taxes.
Payable tax.
Atmos Energy or Greeley Gas, when I first started,
Yeah.
all our small cities in this town that we operate in,
Yeah.
ask for a franchise tax. If the city wants it, the city votes it in.
Yeah.
And we was always at 5%, if they
Yeah,
want
most of them are
maximum
5.
5%.
Yeah.
And then some of them went 2, and then some of them went 3, and then later on, they said, well, that's income to our city to help us get by.
Absolutely,
So
yeah.
then most of them went on up to 5.
When do we get income off of Keystone Pipeline again? We got, what time of year?
It's on the
was that
tax
last
roll.
year?
Yeah, it's on the tax roll.
It's a regular tax.
Yeah, it's taxed now.
Just
It's
as the
part of
wind
our
farms
regular
will be.
values,
Yeah.
so
It's gonna take a hit this year, though.
That was one of those
That
years.
pipeline was shut
Up
down
there,
for a
sure,
month and
yeah.
a half.
I know.
It's
Okay,
based
let's
on
bring
bulk.
it back together. We got
Well,
5
I'm
people
just
talking
thinking,
at
you know,
once.
that was 50,000 last year.
And that, it was much more than that.
Yeah, way more.
1.5 million. It's on the property tax roll.
Yeah, it's
That's
a
commercial
huge-
property tax.
it's a
But
public
it's
utility.
assessed based on volume, isn't it?
So that's assessed at the state level.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we get those June 1st, those assessments, and that's already included in the value that
Okay.
you have here.
Okay, so it's
It may
already, that's
change.
accounted for.
That's
It's
right.
accounted for, it could change next year based on
Sure.
the shutdown. I don't know what the time frame is of when they evaluate all
Now,
this.
that's just a shot in the dark, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's what the wind farms will be on tax roll in another 5-6
5 years on one and
Yeah.
10 on the other.
Sorry, I didn't mean to, like,
No,
make
So-
you guys all
Yeah, I
go
know
every
everything's
which
just.
way. Sorry about that,
this
but
is chasing.
it would be good, I guess what I would like the board to try to do today, if you're ready, is to determine what your what the desired mill rate is.
That is the topic on the
Yeah,
table. Is
yeah.
there a desire to increase the mill levy or retain it at 74.99 or 75?
Yeah, the .001.
Right. Is there a desire to increase the mill
What's
levy?
the
And if so, where is it
recommendation of the
dedicated?
county?
That's right. Yeah, he's trying to deflect the blame.
I got no.
Well, in other words, all we've done since 2016 is sit here and we've lived off the gravy. Whatever income extra we've got in the last 7, 8 years is all went into our general and help fund us in our budget, whatever it is, either the
I thought I had
appraisal
it.
value.
I can keep talking about it. Do you have the assessed value for each of those years like that? 'Cause I-
That would be amazing number.
Because I do
Yes,
that,
I
I thought
do.
I did it on yours, but
Because
I
the
don't.
assessed value has really gone up.
Yeah, so people's assessed values on their properties, so their taxes technically have went up.
The value of the property is
Quick
on
on
that.
But somebody that's bought one house and been there for 50 years, it's hard for them to justify why their taxes keep going up.
Yeah.
Well, look at your
They're
homeowners,
not-
your farm owners.
They're not looking to sell their property.
I mean, it just jumps everywhere.
Ag property is so far undervalued. It's ridiculous.
Because I just have to look at all the letter sheets.
As a farmer, because the value of that land is gone up
So.
10
assessed
times,
value,
the taxes have gone
what
down.
one do you-
What year are you on?
16 is the first one I've got. And I've got.
It'll, one of these days, the
69,
state.
I've
one right now,
gone up
so
like
it's 15.
16 times.
16 budget for 15. Well,
Okay.
go up one, yeah, we'll go up one. So, there
What was
is-
it,
Mill
69?
No, one,
What
the
would
assessed
be
value.
dedicated for?
I think this is Lorraine County, yeah. And that
Oh,
one-
123.
Yeah, 123.
We gotta
You
work
sold
on,
me
we gotta work
60
on
minutes. She's
efficiencies
38.
after we.
Well, that's.
Oh, I was
that's what I said.
doing
Seven
Remember,
47.
See, I was trying to match up with the mills.
Okay,
Yeah,
so.
and the next one down is
We've been fortunate enough that our valuation is taking care of the issue.
947. The next one is 128, 457, 226,
Find out that 173.
136, 509, 692, 140, 335, 481, 140, 032, 031, and then this is where it was 20 million. I thought it was 12, 14 million. So next one is 160.
See, that's where the pipeline came
298,
Pipeline came in.
851, and then 168, 761, 714, and then 24's budget for 23 is 173, 778, 039.
There's your gravy.
There you go.
So the difference there is 50 million. So what that
Yep.
means, is 50 million on a mill would be 50,000, is that the way?
Multiply it.
50,000 a mill is what you've gained in that period.
Because it's 173 now, and we
Yeah,
was down
it's
around
123.
113 or so when I
Yeah,
started.
and it might even been, yeah, lower than that.
You multiply the column B.
Did a good
Column
job.
C into column D.
But we've lived off of that. This is crazy.
What are you trying to get, Joe?
The total.
Tax?
Yeah, so we
So
get the total.
you'd have to divide by 1,000, yeah, because you have to take the mill levy. But anyway, that gives you an idea. I couldn't remember exactly, but it was,
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely.
Take it down.
Yeah, I got it.
Sorry.
That's okay.
If you wanted to look at that, I gave you those sheets. It would have been the first time I came over.
Yeah.
And what it is, it looks like this right here.
The
It's,
last column.
it's like your cash, it's your expenditures, your receipts, and then you have your mill levy.
Mhm.
You have all that in that first handout, I think, that shows all that.
What it is now, 74.
Oh, I have these. What?
74,999.
Yeah, it probably just used 749. I had a .001, I decided not to adjust it.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
said, I'm going to bed.
That's right.
So if we did it at 75, what this is.
So where it's at now? Still jumping 400,000. 350. That's,
Wouldn't do one road project.
Well, no, you're right.
yeah, but that's over 2 mils.
Yeah.
I've got no interest in jumping it.
prefer to leave the mill levy where it is myself.
Feeling the other three.
I think it needs to go up. I mean, it's, to me, it's writings on the wall, and that last column over there, well, the middle column shows you a bunch. But, yeah. And believe me, going from working to non-working, I don't like it. I mean, if you're working, you're making money. But if you set yourself at a certain income, you don't like it. But yet, how do we sustain putting, well, for one thing, how do we put an ambulance in my area down there? Like I said, it's 1/3 of the county south of Hillsborough, Maryland, population-wise. How do I put roads for everybody to drive north to south, east to west? Am I going to continue to live off of that? Somewhere that, they always say that's going to change. I mean, you know, they say things are not going to do that, but it hasn't in the last 7 years that we're looking at it, or 8 years. It's almost, pretty soon it'll be double for what it was. By 2025, will it double in the tax value over there? You know, the pipeline, as you said, just went up $1.5 million or something like that value on our taxes. But I don't know, it's a tough one because everybody wants to raise the cities, the county, the school boards, and they all want to, they want more. I mean, they want to put nice things out just like we do. And how do they get that? They're raising the mill levy.
No, we need to at least raise 1 mil this year and maybe 1 the next year. Just because we have no excess cash to do anything. We just maintained and now taking care of what we got. We're not improving anything. I mean, we already went back this year and redid some stuff we did 5 years ago. We didn't improve it, we just maintained it. And other places we haven't, we went backwards, you know. You know, the Albany Road. We went backwards on that.
It's a fairly good road right now. We're going forward, but we need money to.
Yeah, but we
need
took
money.
away the
That
asphalt.
road's better than I've ever seen in my
It's
time here.
It's good shape right now, but to get it back to an asphalt road,
You take my old yellow truck and try to drive that road back in the day, even before the potholes.
Yeah.
You were swerving between the ditches because it.
Oh,
the
you were in
stiff-
the ditch.
Well, the stiff frame on the steering, I mean, it was all over. Same with the Nighthawk.
yes. I'd make the motion that we raise our tax mill levy at least 1 this year, 1 mil. And
You want to go back to the 2020 middle levy rate?
yeah, that
I mean-
76046. Yeah.
The what?
That's the mill rate for.
Where's where we were at in 2020?
Oh, okay.
Okay, is that the motion?
Yes.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Dalkey to raise the mill levy to 76.046. Do you have a designated use for that mill levy increase?
What Scott talked about, how, I don't know what that takes. I asked for a resolution, or, you know, whether we put it that and then take the wind farm money out. That's what I'd sort of like to see somehow to get it to that. But whether we have to have a resolution for that or not, I'm not following.
So reserves?
Yeah.
There was no resolution going in.
It'd be better if
I
it
was
was
used,
used.
so.
No, what?
Well, it'd probably be wise if we had a resolution that we were gonna move it.
Yes, it was wonderful.
I think first, you look, I mean, you make a good point, but I think first maybe you look at your risks and you say, what risk do we have? And is there anything that needs to be funded? And that can be funded from general fund. That's a transfer, just like capital improvement. I mean, this is just my, you asked what my.
Yeah.
Okay, because I've seen how Jackson now doing it the first time, they are setting really good, and now they feel like they've got their risks covered in all the areas, and they're probably either this year or next year gonna start dropping the mill levy. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because they have other, and they've got a casino, I mean, they've got other things that are generating, but they've got other problems too. The Indians are buying the land back, and that goes off the tax roll, and they don't have the money. I
That's
mean,
a bigger
it's
problem.
$4.5 million that they're gonna potentially lose in taxes. I mean, so they've got problems too, but But you see what I'm saying? If you cover, to me, if I'm on a board or I have my business running, I mean, just like, I wanna look and make sure that my risks are taken care of. And you never can totally take care of them. And then maybe you have also, like you talked about the jail, some of these things are gonna start going south, and making sure that you match up for them.
You gotta maintain what you got.
Yeah, and the people, the people in, last night I had to take my cap off in Galva as a CPA and say I'm a citizen on Main Street, because the bank was only giving us 0.95 on $3 million, and we should be getting $100,000 instead of $2,900. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not right, okay? So it's things like that, that if you're watching out for the citizens, like what we're saying here, risks, taking care of the property you've already got, then you start matching, like if you go 1 mil and you match it up to those risks or whatever, as a citizen, I don't feel bad about it. I don't like taxes, but I'm saying, I feel like the board, and that's what I would do in my business.
I would go ahead and then you're telling me to more or less take this 1 mil and go to risk management.
Well, I think that's the first place you start. I'm not saying it all goes to
Right.
risk management, but I think you start there. I mean,
Yeah.
you've got to figure out, right now, if something went south, where do you get it?
Right.
Well, you've been very blessed with, sales tax and different things. I'm just saying, if you do that long enough, the well's gonna go, it could go.
Unfortunately,
it could
our
go.
debt level's not.
Well, I'm just looking at
It's
that.
not.
This is something I've looked at a bunch on these 5 counties now. If you go to page 6, your gross payments on lease purchases are $517,000 and $500,000. You see those two totals down at the bottom? That is setting at about a little over 3 mils, okay? So Jackson County has no debt at all, no debt. 17 million in their cash, okay? I mean, that's a little different place than you are, okay? Then I go to Ottawa County. Ottawa County has 12 graders, all leased. They have they're going to almost 90 mils just to keep their
Lease.
operations going.
90 mil.
90 mils, okay?
But their evaluation is what?
And it's not good. It's like, it's 100,000. So you're talking 70,000 different, because they're too close to Salina. See, what happened is they have nothing except I shouldn't say that, farmland and houses.
Yeah.
And when you have that,
It's
there's no
a
income.
bedroom community.
Yeah.
And-
Pratt is, they're debt-free, except for that building, and they match the wind farm up with the wind farm money matches up to the building debt they have. But I look at this a lot. You're talking about, Osage County did this. They had all their police car, or patrol cars leased, and they said, no, we're not gonna do this anymore. So the new commission, this is about 5 years ago, they went in, and every May, they would buy 7 new police and lease them, okay? And they went back to paying cash for them. And I think they're out of debt. Now their jail's gonna be $20 million, so they're gonna go back in debt, but it's sales tax. But I just look at that on each one of these. This is like at home, credit card, what debt you have, your house, what is sustainable, being cash, that's a goal I would think too, is trying to get to the point where you don't have a lot of debt, because what's happening now, that last grader they leased at Ottawa, 5.15%. That's a lot different than 1.98. And so all of a sudden you're paying a chunk of change just for the,
Yeah, we've done lease purchases, and the lease purchase is gonna be higher than just straight out lease.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we can't do now.
Yeah.
But right now,
and see, you're
honestly,
in a pretty good environment here. I mean, the last one was 4.06, but most of your leases are less than what you're earning off of your
Borrowed
funds
money.
right now, okay?
our borrowed money is actually making more
Making money right
than
now.
we were.
Yeah.
Done at the right time. So
Yeah.
let's get back to the motion that you were in the process of making.
1 mil, go to,
Originally you said 2020, so you're going 1 mil from 75 to 76?
well,
or are you going-
76,046.
Okay.
Okay, 2020s.
And what's
Yeah.
the use of the funds?
I would accept any decision made by the commission on that as far as it's looking forward.
Risk management?
Risk management would be the first place that I would say, but that can be used in a lot of places. With the following statement, the ending statement to be that we have meetings with our leaders in department heads, both elected and appointed, to have efficiency, some sort of efficiency rating or clause.
Review.
Efficiency review.
Okay, so we have the motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, second by Commissioner Crowfoot. Now let's have pedal 10 minutes discussion. We didn't have our second before.
Yeah,
but
sorry.
We had to get to the completing
I
the
jumped
motion.
it. I'm
It
sorry.
helped- it helped-
So the
it
motion is
helped out the
to
motion.
raise the mill rate to 76.046.
Yes.
With meetings to be held with department heads for efficiency review.
Yes. And
Okay, and
funds.
Funds.
Management.
All the way up.
That's pretty tough to swallow. Okay, do you have the motion?
all to risk management or primarily, what did you, I don't remember what you said.
Go into risk management.
Okay,
And a second from Commissioner Crowfoot.
okay.
Are we in discussion?
Now we are in discussion.
Okay, so I just thought of this too, in risk management, you could even say the risk management of managing inflation. You know, because you
Right.
think about
It's
risk, that is a risk.
It is.
Yes.
And that's a big picture
Well,
risk, but.
As you explained earlier, risk management could be increases in health insurance
Right.
premiums. It could
Right.
be a lawsuit.
Yeah.
It could be
Yeah.
a
lot
number of
things like that,
items.
yeah.
And I will say in the discussion that I'm not in favor of raising the mill levy, but for risk management, I see that as a critical need.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
On that, do we have to do it as a transfer, or can
It's
we
a-
levy in?
No, risk management's not a
That's
levy
what I
fund.
thought, so
It's a
you have to levy
transfer.
it in the general.
That's right.
And transfer it to
And that's
risk
the beauty
management.
of
So I
it.
just wanted to make sure you
Yes.
all are aware.
That's-
And that's, I wanted to follow up, is this
Okay.
appropriate? I mean, does this work?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's, the beauty of it is, you wanted a transfer fund, because if you need the money in the
Yes.
general fund can pay for anything.
Right.
So you put it over risk management,
Right.
and you have these different,
Right.
you know, go through, put the different dollar amounts on it.
Because I can justify the
Yeah.
extra levy on the basis of risk.
Yeah.
Because we have a number of high-risk items
Yeah,
out there.
absolutely.
We do. And for the benefit of the taxpayers,
Yeah.
as Commissioner Dalkey said, we need to start building that
Yeah.
because we have significant risks out there. And if we get blindsided,
That's right.
then we are gonna be in a world of hurt.
And I think you could actually do it, I hadn't thought about this, you have the fund there that shows it, you know, like LACTF,
Right.
where we showed that. But you could also build an Excel spreadsheet behind it if it needed to be bigger and more thorough.
Mhm.
But what's nice about it, oh, why did you raise 1 mil this
Right.
year? You give them that sheet and go, this sheet alone is the risk that we have here in the county.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just being transparent.
Yeah, right.
And I don't like to I'd rather keep things simple, but to me, that's simple. You know, you've got 10 or 8 things on there that are
Mhm.
risks, and anybody in the county would understand that, for the most part, I would think.
Yeah, we have to be able to explain it, because
Exactly.
the paper will just blow it plumb out of the water.
It will be regardless of what we do, but as long as I can explain it to my tax.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
And I can explain it as risk management.
Yeah.
And maybe it sets up a base for future.
Right.
Yeah.
And the future's all risk.
Right.
Yeah.
So, it can apply to those risks that we all know are out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got a motion and a second?
We have motion second. Other discussion? We had some good discussion.
This could be progress commission.
I dream in these discussions, do you know that?
Color or black and white?
I don't know.
Everybody does, but
As
she's
part
on
of,
the
as
here.
part of your motion, you say meeting to talk about efficiency reviews.
Right.
Are we willing to, as a commission, to sit here and say, when they're telling us that we're efficient, you know, we're as tight as we can be? I mean, are we willing to just, you know, as a example, say, we want 3% efficiency off of your 2024 budget. I mean, we gotta start somewhere.
Well, Kent, to answer what's happened that I know of, 3 or 4 years before, and I don't know whether Tina was even working here then or not, but the commission did ask for a 5 or a 10%.
10%.
I think you said,
We took the
I think you mentioned
10%,
10, which is a chunk.
But that was because of the tax lid. So what happened is, we did, like Tina said, we needed the middle column to be a lot better than it was, because we weren't gonna have any cash carry over to the budget we were funding. So we went back, it's the only time I've ever done it, we went back on every middle column and deducted 10% out of everybody's budget. And that's how we funded the next year's budget. That's the only time, any count, I've never done it, that's the only time I've ever done it.
I understood it. I didn't know all the bottom lines
Yeah.
of why it was done.
Yeah.
But I understood that the commission asked for that just to square things up a little bit.
Yeah, we went in, I mean, it was an Excel spreadsheet, I showed them exactly what the, I mean, it just boom, and that was cash carryover to help fund the next year's budget. So-
Wasn't that because of a mid-year change in law?
Well, see what happened in 2000, we just talked about this somewhere else, I guess they're talking about bringing LAVTR back?
Yes.
Okay, so what happened, LAVTR, I haven't seen city county revenue sharing, have you seen any of that?
Yes,
They
we
talked
have
about
all the
that.
numbers for Marion County, it's
So-
like 300.
So what happened that year was part of it in that there's a 2-year cycle there. In December, we did not get our last payments. So we already had the budget all set,
Set for that.
and it was somewhere around probably
Yeah.
250 to 300,000.
Yeah.
And that's why we had to figure out how we were gonna get the cash to go the next year when the state just out this, we already had counted
Yeah,
on it.
yes.
State goes,
Okay.
boom. they touch
Now,
it right.
now, the reason, but since then, this commission has never asked for a cut like that or anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Since that time.
Yeah.
Okay, other discussion on the motion? Not all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay.
Nay.
Motion carried 4-1. Commissioner Gary opposed.
So 76.046. Okay, I gotta run, but,
Can you plug that in instead of 75, 76,046? Just- Thank you.
so, you'll meet Monday?
Yes.
You meet Monday, okay, and you have what you need, except for the date, I don't know if you.
Do you have a recommended date we can approve it now and then it's done?
September, in September.
Yeah.
Not too early.
If you have a recommended date, we'll just go ahead and do it.
I guess that's not right, it was still 74.99.
September.
Yeah, it'd be the next year.
September 18th.
24.
Yep.
But we don't have the mill levy.
It just has to be done by September, roughly about, I mean, you're the county, so it doesn't matter, but September 20th is what the guidelines say.
Okay, so September 18th for the, is that the revenue, what's the?
What
name
that
of it?
is the revenue neutral rate hearing first, you have the vote,
And the budget.
and then you have the budget hearing. They're back to back. And
September 18th, and you want to do it
we can do it
right before the regular meeting. So
like at 12:30, is that when you usually meet?
we usually meet at 12:30. Would you want to start earlier or just do it at the very first of the regular meeting?
What works for you?
Yeah, I can be here, Pars and I can be here at 12:30. And that's what we usually do, just have it the first of the meeting, and then you go on with the rest of your meeting.
I'd move to set the revenue neutral rate meeting and public hearing and budget public hearing, Monday, September 18th at 12:30. Second by Commissioner Becker. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0.
So the next step, unless Tina tells me different, I know she's got all these 20 other things, but I'm not gonna probably do anything with this until she's went through and, done her magic on it.
Yep, I'll go through all
And
the lines
whenever
and
we
check
get to
them
that point, then what I would say is we come back for another, meeting, that's before publication, that's for all
Right.
that. And we just talk through, what that looks like maybe if we do a transfer to risk management, or we do and we show all those, kinda like what I did today, but it would be even more refined.
In August.
Yeah, sometime that, probably the first couple weeks in August, probably. Does that sound okay? Okay. it was worth it to spend the time last night to get it that far. You know, anytime you can get one
Thank you
done-
for all your sleepless nights.
Well, no,
Yes.
anytime you can get one to this far where it's really down to just what you just decided, it makes you feel so.
Now you can put the rest of the pieces of the puzzle
Yep.
together.
You can have a nice afternoon now.
Oh, yeah, going up and the county treasurer is resigning at OSA, so I'm gonna go count
Count
cash.
cash. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Scott.
Thank you. And if you need something, you know how to get hold of me. Okay.
Scott, drive safely.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I got a new pickup in February, because my other one had 175,000 on it.
Oh, Blackie did?
Huh?
Blackie did?
Yeah, it's another Blackie, so.
Oh, another Blackie. Okay.
But I've already got almost, I'm going on 16,000, just in the last 5 months.
You're gonna have to change your walk pretty soon. huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
He takes
Make
what
it
this
fully
one
synthetic
was.
in it.
Thanks, Scott.
Yep, thank you all.
Thank you.
Yep, see you.
Tina, did we need action on the capers?
Oh, that, it's just an administrative change, I just need a signature from the chairman, it's not any. I just need to reappoint myself as the designated agent, so I can get access back on the computer again. Thank you. Glad I remembered to put that there the other day because I forgot the day and I actually need it today, so.
Good thing we met today. Yay. Okay, you had administrative on the agenda?
Really, I just put that on there, so whatever
Catch all.
motions that you needed to make and
Okay.
all of that, so. I don't have anything else for admin today, we'll do the rest on Monday.
All right. And Commissioner Gary will not be here Monday.
No.
Is it 17th?
Yeah.
17th.
And Ashley will be taking the meeting that day, I'll be gone as
You
well.
going too?
What we got up there? Looks like most of it's just department business, DB, I remember what it stands for. Public Farm Administrative. Sprayer, oh, Josh, right?
Yeah.
Sprayer bids.
For the meeting.
Emergency Management Department Business, Appraiser Department Business, EMS, and Road and Bridge.
Do we need road and bridge to come every week?
It's up to the commission.
Take some off the road to working with the people. You know, how it runs this
You
afternoon.
wanna go to every other?
I don't know, I just asked.
I kinda had talked to Judy about, I'm not sure, about maybe not putting him on all the time unless the commission wants him to come in, but.
We'd kind of talked about that because of that one report that Bryce had sent out.
Yeah, if he
But
could.
Steve isn't gonna have private time.
No, I asked if Vicky would be willing to help Steve write a report like Bryce made more often,
I
and
mean,
then maybe he wouldn't have to come so often,
She
but I
could
was
give
gonna
her a
make that
review of
decision.
the computer stuff that she gets for all the maintainers or something like
But,
that.
but then that puts it into a document form for us, and then his presence maybe would be less often.
Yeah.
Right.
But she said she was willing,
Mhm.
he said he thought that was a good idea.
I mean, every time he comes in, you know.
It's
he's
the same
here for-
thing.
Here for 20 minutes, but he's lost 3 hours of work time.
Oh, yeah, drive all the way back in.
Right.
Had to deal with
Just
stuff
drive
around
by
here,
there.
answer any questions, drive all the way back out.
So, yeah, if she's willing to do that.
It's kind of like the fuel bitch, do we just see those every time?
I think that's something that if Steve thinks is okay, Vicky could just bring those up to Tina.
Get handled under administrative.
We've done it many times.
Yeah.
Okay. Commissioner Docking?
Caution this commission on how us commissioners go out and talk to these people, because then sometimes when it turns south on us, we had a commission coming down talking to us and telling us what to do.
I just asked if they'd be willing.
I'm just saying, you know, we have a designated person, as chairman usually, to go do things, and so I'm just warning us that it's went south before, and they'll
On
come
that-
back, so.
On that question to her,
Yes.
I emailed it and included you.
Yes, and I think, I got full positive response from the commission when Bryce did that report.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
reinforced it to him many times to do that report. And I think that the report is what the commission wants.
Yes.
So I think the request for the report is got full support of the commission.
Yeah.
And if that report comes, perhaps Steve doesn't have to come in every week.
Right.
So,
So, Brett, do you want me to just take road and bridge off unless you, as an agenda item, until something
And then we
changes,
just,
unless the board
Unless
says
he wants
it?
to come in.
yeah, unless he has something specific or commissioners have something specific. I
Right.
know last week there were some issues that Steve did need to be here. So if there are, again, let's put it this way, if a commissioner has an issue they want Steve here, let me know, I'll get it on the agenda.
Now, this isn't all correct either, because we do have a report on Kansas Road, so everything isn't on here that's on the agenda, which is already made.
Oh,
The engineer's coming in to do a report on
Oh, okay.
Kansas.
Okay.
Darren Newfeld's coming in
Oh.
Oh,
at 1:30.
Okay.
That's good.
So, I just,
But I guess I'm gonna leave it. If commission wants Steve on, give me a text or something, I'll
Yeah.
get him
Or
on.
we can just call Tina and have her put it on the
Okay,
commission.
that's fine.
On the agenda.
Yep, very good.
Okay.
We just need
Okay.
to make the best use of our
Right.
employees' time.
Yep. Very good. Anything else? Not, I'd move to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Garing, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay, motion carried 5-0.
12:30 Monday.
12:30 Monday, the 17th.
4:35, 4:30. You just seem to run 5 minutes late to
Boy, lately,
retirement.
yeah, it's been